Besides sending the police, you might want to send an ambulance or a hearse.
Hello, Billy Ho here, and we are at the Sony Open for the DraftKings show. I am joined by my man David the Hamburgini, aka the DFS Chef, on Twitter, and he's going to come on here with me like he did last year, and we're going to talk some DraftKings pricing, players. We'll go through just like most normal shows do, and we'll pick out some players that we might like. And this, it's just something to give you players to look at. We're not telling you who to play. We're not touting picks. It's a free show. So, we're just saving you some research. And we're going to take a look at David's stat model. We're going to take a look at Rick Run Good's website. We're going to take a look at my article on Google Sites that I'm working on. And so I'll introduce Dave. How you been, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a while. Happy New Year to you.
Yes, you too, my friend. I'm digging that shirt.
I gotta rep it for you, man. We gotta
Yeah,
get
yeah. I
the channel
appreciate you. I appreciate you.
continued growth.
All right. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to share screens. All right, and we're going to start off. I think we'll go like I said before. We'll do 9K and up because there's only is that 15 or 4? Not even 15. What is that? 10 golfers, maybe something like that. And I'll kick it to you first, Dave, and kind of get us started on what may kind of what you're looking for this week. Intro that like stats wise, and then just kind of let us know because obviously Tom Kim and Sung J M, the two highest priced guys, are going to be very popular. Tom Kim might be unplayably popular. I don't know yet. I'll get your opinion on that. So go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, from what I've read, I think that Wiley's trying to make the course a little more difficult this year because in years past the rough's been about 2.25 inches, and from all the articles I've read, they've let it grow. So now we're looking at like 3 full inches of rough, and in some spots it might even be a little thicker. And if there's really no wind, this course really doesn't offer too much difficulty. It's going to be a birdie fest, just like we saw last week. Now, granted, the courses are completely different. This is a shorter course. You're going to see a lot of guys probably clubbing down and not even taking out driver on some of these holes. So to me, and everything and every article I've read and all this data that I've had from years past, driving accuracy is going to be very key this week. Uh, Despite having, I think it's the 12th widest fairways on tour. It's kind of middle of the pack in driving accuracy for some reason, but it does emphasize that you want to be on the fairways because the rough penalty has been up near the top in years past, top 10 in years past if you miss fairways. And if the rough has grown, about another inch, it could be even harder this year if you're missing fairways. So for me, we want to find driving accuracy as a big key. Uh, Always approach. Obviously, this week's probably going to be another birdie fest. So we're going to need putters that hot putters, and especially hot Bermuda putters that we're going to try and find. So I mean, those are definitely the three main keys that I'm looking at, and then we have the other keys. Obviously, like I said, a birdie fest, a birdie or better. We need that DK scoring, and so on and so forth. So for me, when we talk 9K and up, I think Taylor Montgomery is going to be very popular. Some people are saying he's even egregiously mispriced at 9K. He should even be higher than that. And I mean, I'm not going to argue that fact. I mean, he came on to the fall swing, guns ablazing, just like he finished the Corn Ferry Tour. Something like what is it, 9 out of 10 top 15 finishes or something like that for him. The one time he didn't finish top 15 was at the Houston Open. So he's probably going to be very popular. Um, Keegan didn't look great last week, but I do think he could be somewhat viable. More GPP play, I think, if you're going to go Keegan. Um, I just looked before we started this. No official news yet, but there is a very good chance that Billy Horschel is going to withdraw from this thing today.
I
So
heard
just
that
keep
too.
just keep your eyes and ears open for that. So, he wasn't happy. He's working on a new swing, even though he shot, what was it, that 64, I think, in the final round. He said he wasn't happy with his swing, and he was planning on going back home and continuing to work on his swing. So keep your eyes open for that. Corey Connors, if you're looking for course horses, I'm going to say Corey Connors is probably the course horse here. Um, he's got, over the last 5 years, he's played here 4 times. He's got 3 top 15 finishes. One was a top 5. I know if any of you have watched Rick's preview video when he talks about, the strokes gain metrics, and when Corey Connors, how often does he gain 4 strokes, 5 strokes to the field? It's really not that often. So, Rick was saying that his ceiling potential is really not that great. His floor potential is pretty safe. So that's why I think he's a strong cash game play this week. But if you're looking for GPPs, you're probably going to want to find someone with a higher potential ceiling. Brian Harmon has just been hot as hell over this fall swing, and I do think this course suits his game really, really well. He's grading out number 2 in my model. Now, granted, we've gone to the 2023 stats now on my model, right. So take it with a grain of salt, because some guys only have like 6 rounds played for 2023, where other guys are 20 plus rounds. So some of these grading scales are a little skewed. So you might want to go back and look a little longer form, because Russell Henley's not grading out well. But when we talk driving accuracy, when we talk strokes gained approach, most of these guys are going to be hitting a lot of short wedges this week. Everything spits out Russell Henley. So Russell Henley's probably someone I'm going to look at. Hoagie's like boom or bust, because you can see on my model he's missed 3 out of the last 5 years. He's missed the cut, but the 2 times he's made the cut was top 15 finishes. He's looking really good as far as recent form. But again, it's boom or bust. You look at it, he missed the cut at the RSM, he missed the cut at the Mayakoba. But then when he makes the cut, it's ceiling. He's got that ceiling potential. So he's like, he's Ricky Bobby right now. And I also heard when I was watching Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast last night, Tambo threw out the tidbit that as soon as the Tournament of Champions was over, he hopped on a plane, flew back to LA to watch his, boys, the Bulldogs, win the national championship last night, and then hopped right back on a plane back to Hawaii.
Yeah. He was probably on a plane by halftime, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to worry about.
I mean, SoFi Stadium, it's I don't know how long the flight is, 3 or 4 hours at the most. I mean, he was probably back in Maui by like, you Monday night, you sleep all day Tuesday, catch a flight Tuesday night, you're in Hawaii, and then you sleep in and you get up Wednesday and go play a practice round. I'm not worried about that. But I am with you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the jet lag is going to really be an issue. Yeah. And then to finish it out for me, I'm in agreement. It's going to be Tom Kim, Sungjae Im up top. Obviously, Hideki's the defending champion here. He's got good course history, but I just don't know where I'm at with Hideki. He didn't really look good with his ball striking last week.
Yes.
So for me, I don't know where I'm at with Hideki. So of the guys up top that I'm probably going to really focus on, it's Kim, it's Im. Still researching Henley, but Harmon, and I really do like Connors. I do think Connors is really safe for cash. For GPP, I'll probably fade him in GPPs.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Kim and Im at the top. There's no argument you can make. The one thing I do know about Sungjae Im is he always tends to have at least one bad round. So if you get that Thursday or Friday, you might be in trouble. I think his bad round was Saturday or Friday he shot 72 at the TOC right after shooting a 66. And then he shot like sub 70s the rest of the way. So he has that in him. He always has that one round where he's off his game. Hideki, you were right. That's the one thing I had jotted down. He was better with the short game and putting than he was with the ball striking last week. But that's kind of anomalies to me. So I mean, first, 19th, 12th. He's probably a safe play. I'm not 100% on his health though. I still don't know what the neck and the back stuff that might be part of the reason why he didn't swing the clubs that well. Who knows? Spieth looked all right, but he's still wild with the driver, and like you said, with the increased rough, that he's going to be a pretty risky play as far as keeping it in play. But nobody scrambles like Jordan. Uh, Henley and Harmon were two I had written down for A, accuracy, and B, the wedges, and C, the putting. So those two guys are kind of like I feel like I'll play a lot of them together, and they're both Georgia Bulldogs. So I wonder how much celebrating they did. But Corey Connors, same thing. He's never lost putting here, I do believe. So he's probably a good safe cash play. We'll wait and see on Billy on the withdrawal, because I just was watching Tour Junkies before I called you, and they said the same thing. Keegan is kind of interesting. He's hit and miss too. But the guy I'm really going to be interested to see how he plays this course is Mav McNeely. Him and Taylor Montgomery are going to be a kind of a stack with me as well. And they're because they're both long off the tee. They're both good putters, and the irons can be hit or miss. But these are 7,100 square foot greens, so and they're strong guys, even if they miss fairways, which neither one of them are known for accuracy. So they're both probably barely 60% on accuracy off the tee. I may lean more toward that, because I do remember you did remind me of that. I heard it somewhere else as well, that they're letting the grass grow out a little bit, because normally 2.25 inches, the rough is not penal at all here, and I said that in my first video. So I will take into account that they may be growing the rough out some more. So there may be some trickier spots, and Bermuda rough can be very tricky. It can be one big tuft of grass one place and then buried in the next. So the 9K range, I think, and up, we look pretty good on. I'm going to jump into the 8K range, and I think the it's part of my article. I'm hoping I'm not jumping around too much. There's Henley and Harmon. I'm building this work in progress here, and that's still from Century. But there's the Korean stacks. There's your boy. All four of these guys are in the. You got, I believe, Tom Kim on the end. This is KJ Choi, and or that's KH Lee, maybe. I can't remember. Tom Kim. We know Sung Jae. He's got that big wide moon face. So there's all four of those guys. I do like, and that's the big timers, Decky and Jordan. And this is a list of players who played last week that are in the tournament. And so I got a few trends, but putting, going back to what Dave was saying, the approach is paramount, but driving accuracy might be a little more important with the greens grown out. So pushing into this 8K range, KH Lee looked really good last week. He's riding a hot putter. He's sneaky long off the tee, but pretty accurate. As you can see, 305 off the tee, but it's almost 65%, 70, almost 73% on greens and regulation. So he's looking pretty solid. Scott, I'm hearing Cam Davis chatter, but I only like Cam Davis on when you have more par fives, because he tears up par fives. He makes a lot of eagles. These two par fives are the most important holes on the golf course. By the way, 40% of your under par scoring will be done on those two holes. So maybe Cameron Davis goes 10 under on those two holes, but he's long, 315, but he's not accurate. So I don't know. Maybe the Aussie narrative is the thing. JJ Spawn played really well last week. He's a guy I might have some interest in, but 8,400 is kind of expensive for him. A guy that didn't play, two guys that didn't play down here are Seabez, I'll call him. Behazen Goat. I always have trouble pronouncing his name. And Andrew Putnam, both playing really well in the fall. Both guys are not long off the tee, but you don't need to be here. And I think the reason why your accuracy you mentioned earlier, Dave, is there's a lot of run out the fairways are just like the last week's. They're uneven, and so balls tend to run through the fairway a lot of times, and that's how you get into the rough. Griot's interesting too at 8K. He's another good ball striker, and the putter has come around, and he's been really solid in the fall. And he's got some back class here, is what I call it. He missed the cut last year, but he's got some top 25 finishes in 19 and 20. So I do have interest in him. And so if you want to give us 8Ks and then lead us into the 7Ks, Dave, go on ahead.
Yeah, I mean, KH Lee is getting some chatter, and I understand it. You know, you look over the last 36 rounds of golf, and he's positive in every strokes gained metric category there is. So I understand the KH Lee narrative. Plus, he played last week, and that's another narrative. Most of your, winners over the last several years have played the week before. Cam Davis is surprising. You know, he's not accurate off the tee like you mentioned, but you look at his course history here, and Cam Davis has very good course history here, and I'm going to say it's probably due to the fact that he most likely clubs down at this course, like I mentioned earlier. A lot of guys are going to club down, so even though it's not showing that he's accurate, he probably clubs down, which increases his accuracy here, which translates to his success with his course history here. I'm in agreement with you. JJ Spawn's probably playing the best golf of his career over this fall swing and toward the end of last season. But 8,400 seems a bit pricey to me,
I agree.
Especially considering his course history here. Now, it could completely flip. He's on a heater right now, so maybe that course history is a thing of the past, and the switch has been flipped. But to me, I'd rather go to a guy that's one, longer off the tee, two, more accurate off the tee than JJ Spawn, and three, has way better course history here. And I guess four, he's also cheaper. Keith Mitchell, another Georgia Bulldog, I would prefer going to over JJ Spawn this week. Siwoo's always interesting. Siwoo is another Ricky Bobby kind of a guy. If you're not first, you're last, because Siwoo can win this thing and he can finish dead last. But the one thing that he has going for him, he's very accurate off the tee. His approach game's good. He is, not the longest, but he is somewhat sneaky long. And his course history here is not bad. Putnam, like you already mentioned, I do like Putnam. He's very accurate off the tee. He's got some history here. Bezadenhout, obviously. The one thing that worries me about Bezadenhout is his approach play. His approach play is, negative versus some of those other guys like Putnam is positive on approach. Siwoo's positive on approach. So the approach play worries me a little bit about Bezuidenhout. His game is all short game. That's where he gets you. He's a great putter. So that's something you got to consider. And going into the 7K range, McCarthy, obviously probably the best putter in the field. I know last year he was still a good putter, but he wasn't the putter that he was in years past. I mean, the putter did slip a tiny bit for him when you look at the stats. And at 7,900, I don't know. And this guy, obviously, again, his ceiling is very limited, but to me, he might seem like a safe cash game play again this week. He has one here. He finished, I think, T7 here last year, which was sandwiched in between two missed cuts.
Cooch.
The old man Cooch, I think, to me, is a safer play than Denny McCarthy at this track. I know Smalley's getting some steam as well, but the one thing that concerns me with Smalley is his accuracy off the tee. So I don't know where I'm at with Smalley. Poston is starting to get some chatter. I know Kitayama's been mentioned in some of the pods I've been watching, but again, his accuracy off the tee is suspect. So for me, Hayden Buckley is someone that I'm very high on. Again, he falls into that kind of Keith Mitchell category where he's accurate, but along with being accurate, he's also long and played here for the first time last year and had that T12. So he's got that going with him, plus some good form from the fall swing that's riding in there. So I definitely like Buckley. Gordon is another one that's long and somewhat accurate, but his history here, the two missed cuts that he's had, I don't know. Svensson didn't show all that great last week, but again, that could lead into some low ownership. So I'm still looking into Svensson, and Aaron Rye is probably going to be low owned, but the accuracy for Rye is intriguing me. But the other Georgia Bulldog stands out to me in Brendan Todd. To me, Brendan Todd and Tom Hoge are almost the same golfer. Obviously, Hoge I think is much better with his iron play. I mean, it shows that. I think Hoge is coming in number one in the field on approach, at least from the 2023 stats. So Hoge definitely better at definitely pinning it with the irons on approach. But when you save 2,500, I'm looking at that. I'm saving 2,500 to go to another Georgia Bulldog who's had good course history here. I think I could live with that. So I'll kick it over to you for the 7K, and we can go further down.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. That was pretty some good analysis there actually, and the one thing you mentioned Kitayama, and that does spark my interest a little bit. But like you said, the club down thing, because he's like the longest dude off the tee in which is crazy when you think about it, because he doesn't look it. He's like 318 average off the tee, so he's clubbing down. But miscut last year. He did see the course, which is nice. The Bays, let's see, I left off Kuchar and Denny. I don't know. I'm a little wishy-washy on them. I'm gonna have to look into it some more. Kuchar looked all right in the fall. They both looked just all right in the fall. Denny should have won their Bermuda, in my opinion. He was right there, and he just didn't get it done. Poston I played last week, and I thought he fared pretty decent, 21st. He just didn't have the firepower to attack those wide open fairways, like Rahm and those other guys. I think even though the course history don't show it, I think the 20th place, I think he can have some upside. Nobody ever plays him, so don't worry about ownership. But I love me some Buckley. Buckley would be a guy if you picked a young gun that that you think's gonna win a tournament this year. He would be one of the guys I'd pick. He's he's gonna be popular too. A lot of people are on him. This is where I first noticed him last year as a player, was I believe the 12th place finish here. And I think I ran back and played him in the Amex, and he came through for me at really, really low ownership. Mac Hughes, I thought looked pretty good at the Tournament of Champions. And he's added a little distance, but his iron game and his short game gets it done. Svensson, I will run back, because I think he had that one disastrous round Saturday. I think he shot like 75 or 78 or something crazy. It was not very good. This is the one guy that does intrigue. Webb Simpson. We keep talking about him, and what do we do with him? I think I've been amongst the crowd on the Discord that says he's got to show me. He has to show me, because he hasn't. We think that every time. 7,400. Look at the course history, but he hasn't been getting it done. I mean, look what he did last year. Last year was probably the beginning of us really noticing how awful he's been playing. So that'll take some soul searching, I guess, in a sense, on that. Love the Aaron Ryan. I'm playing Brendan Steele because this is part of the Brendan Steele swing. He did blow it last year. He got off to a notoriously slow start for him, but the previous years he's competed to win. And although I will have to check on the WD to make sure he's not injured, but that was way back in Houston. That was like 2 months ago. So I will have interest in Steele, and I don't know that a lot of people are going to notice, the course history, because they usually get the recency bias of the miscut last year. Ben Griffin's been talked up some. I might have some interest in him, but he don't have the experience here. I want to lean experience, which leads me to Russell Knox. Russell Knox showed signs of life with the flat stick, which has been his biggest bugaboo of his entire career. Why he's missed so many cuts is he puts himself out of championships. So if he can hang in there with the putter, I think he'll be all right. And nobody are we not talking Jaeger bombs? I mean, this guy, he missed the cut last year, but he's just he loves these birdie fests. So I'm gonna probably have some interest in Jaeger. The woos and the Sues down here. Palmer has weird good course history here for somebody who doesn't seem like he would have good course history. Uh, Merritt, I'm not sure of. It's not July, so I probably won't play Merritt. He's my warm weather guy. Dipping my toes down here just a little bit more. There's a couple of guys in the high sixes down here. Ryan Armour is the coastal courses, short knockers, accuracy, and just hope he putts. That's basically what it is. He looks like a good cash play to me. Bramlett's long off the tee, and he had a pretty good finish last year. There was a couple of guys, 6,700, Nick Taylor and Michael Thompson, I had marked. They both have good course history, last couple of rounds, and they both didn't look too awfully good in the. I think Nick Taylor maybe got tired. I don't know, Houston, but he made a couple of cuts. Michael Thompson, this is kind of like it swings back around to where Michael Thompson starts playing good again because Michael Thompson is about as short off the tee as you can get. He's barely 290 on average distance, but he is accurate. So I think this is a tournament that he can compete in. And neither one of these guys are going to be very owned. Maybe Nick Taylor, but I haven't really done a ton of research further down than that. I did mark a couple of guys: Johnny Hunt, Ben Martin, Doc Redman, guys to look at. But I don't know that you'll need to dip too far down. There's weird guys like Tano Goya at 6K and some new guys. But other than that, I'm gonna really feed in the mid range and probably be more balanced as far as my builds go. Uh, what are you thinking down here, Dave?
Yeah, real quick. I mean, like you mentioned, Webb, he has the history, but if you look at the price at 7,400, he's priced at 7,400 because of his history. If you look at it off of his recent form, and if they were going price
That's a good
wise
point.
off of his recent form, he would be under 7K if you're
Yeah,
looking at off of his recent form. Same thing with Palmer. If you're going off of recent form, he should be under 7K. But they're basing it off of the history here. I am in complete agreement with you, and I'm glad you mentioned his name. Russell Knox, I probably am going to own a ton. And I know you have Fantasy National access. I've got Rick's access, and I forget the guy that's now doing Rick's ownership projections, but Knox, as of right now, is showing just a shade over 4% ownership on Rick's site. So
I agree with that.
I really like Knox. I mean, he loses off the tee most of the time, but his approach play over the last 36 rounds, I believe he is second in the field over the last 36 rounds in approach. Like you mentioned, his putter's getting better. He's accurate off the tee, so I do like some Russell Knox. When we go in under 7K or right at 7K, the glove finished T5 here last year. Another guy that's he's accurate off the tee. We know what we get with the putter out of Knox. I mean, with glove. But if he can find the putter like he did last year, he could have some upside potential. And then Robbie Shelton's getting talked up a good amount. As we go under 7K, like you mentioned, there's only several tracks that you play Ryan Armour at, and this is one of those Ryan Armour
Right.
tracks. Sam Ryder is someone that you could possibly look at, maybe as a first round leader bet. The other old man, but he's not accurate off the tee. But again, he might club down. He's got good course history here. Over the fall swing, he wasn't great, but Sink might be a possible guy to look at. Ben Taylor, I know, is getting talked up a little bit. As we go further down, you mentioned Nick Taylor and Michael Thompson. I do like Michael Thompson. He's very accurate off the tee. Not long, but another Georgia Bulldog. So someone to look at. Ben Martin, I heard mentioned.
Mhm.
And then guys that I might play that you shouldn't. Shout out to Stewie when he always
Yeah.
tweets that. But another guy that is probably one of the most accurate off the tee in the field he's going to be sub 1%, but I might take a dart throw at him in like one lineup. Brian Moore, he's a proven winner here. Not I don't know about here, but he's a proven winner on tour. One of the most accurate off the tee. I might take a shot in one lineup with him. The other guy that's I heard mentioned, and he's going to be really heavily relied on his putter. But the last three finishes on the swing season that he had, with some good finishes, with the 39th, the 35th, and the 27th, and that was Eric Cole at 6,200.
Huh? Okay.
He is not accurate off the tee at all, and he really relied on his putter. So I don't know how much I'm going to look at that. He's probably not going to make my lineups, but I heard his name mentioned, so it's something to keep your eye on. And like you mentioned earlier, shout out to the guys that won your contest last week. I was in the mix, and I always said that Luke List, I'll let him burn me. And I forget who it was that he finished second in your contest. He had Luke List. Our lineup was exactly the same.
Really?
I had Spawn. He had List, and List burned me last week, and I can live with that. So congrats to the two winners of your contest last week.
I thought the same thing when in my video that Luke List and I heard somebody mention he was only 6,200, and I thought, he's so long off the tee, he doesn't have to worry about being accurate. He can ball strike, and I just said the only thing that worries me with him are these big greens and three putting. And he just that was the one thing he took care of pretty well was the putter. And if he can ever do that, he's a guy that can win golf tournaments. Yeah. And I think that's gonna just about do it, Dave. I don't have anything else. You got anything else?
No, I mean, we covered a good amount of the field. I think we are heading in the right direction this week. Again, it just depends on whether you want to go stars and scrubs or balanced. And for cash, I kind of, I laid out those few guys that are solid course history, but don't provide the highest upside GPP wise. Look to pivot off of those guys in cash to guys with higher ceiling potentials for GPP. And I think we're in the right direction once again this week.
All right. That sounds good. I do agree with that. Everything there. It's going to be tough to pricing, when weak field events come, DraftKings always dials down the pricing. So Tom Kim in this field, honestly, he could be more like 10-8, but people are going to jam in two guys at the top, most likely. You can do Kim and M, and then just jump right down into the 7K range. That might be options, and these are just lineup building options. Or fade the 10K, hashtag fade the 10K, and start your lineups with Henley and Harmon, things of that nature. But for DFS, at the DFS Chef on Twitter, DMs are open if you want his stat model. And he'll hit you up and make arrangements for that. I'm going to use it this week. I'm going to take a look at. I didn't get to look at that player pool and bets as much as I wanted to, but there's a lot of good course. It gives you comp courses. It gives you course fit. Gives you putting, all that kind of good stuff. So I enjoyed getting back with you, Dave. And until the next time, we will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
Take care.